All right. This is weighing and tracking food 101. This is the digital scale that I am using. This is pretty intense, and in my opinion, it's just too much. It's really not necessary. The only thing that you need to pay attention to on the scale that most scales have is this number right here in weight. As you can see, there is a G there with grams. And then over here on the side, I can change it to ounces. And there are other measurements too, such as milliliters for water, etc. So for the sake of keeping everything simple, I like to weigh food in grams. So I'm going to go ahead and change the ounces to the grams here. And then I'm going to make sure that my scale says 0. All right, so first I'm going to go ahead and weigh some roasted cashews. A serving size of cashews is 1/4 cup, but remember we always want to weigh our items in grams. So I'm going to weigh out 28 grams of cashews. 28 grams of cashews is the serving size. 28 grams is going to give me 13 grams of fat, 8 grams of carbs, and 5 grams of protein. I can do this one or two ways. I can take my cashews and put them directly on the scale to weigh out 28 grams. Boop. We'll leave one more just for good measurement. As you see right here, the number is totaling 28 grams. Or I can do it another way. If I want to weigh it out on a cup or in a dish, I can put the dish on the scale. Notice that the weight of this dish is 61 grams, so I'm going to always tare or 0 out my scale. It will either say tare, T-A-R-E, or 0. So if I wanted to use a dish, I could do it that way. Boom. 28, 29 grams, that's going to be just fine. One cashew isn't going to really throw you off a whole lot. So that is how to weigh cashews. All right, next up, let's take a look at weighing strawberries. For some reason, for whatever reason, to make it easier in my mind, I'm always going to weigh out my fruit to equal just about 100 grams. The most accurate way to weigh is going to be using, again, grams. So in order to do so, let's go ahead and put a dish on the scale, as I don't want to get my scale dirty. See right here, I'm going to tare it out, and then I'm going to weigh out 100 grams of strawberries. Boop. And boom. That is 100 grams of strawberries. So in my tracking app, I'm going to enter in strawberry, or I can scan the box of the strawberries that are in it, and I will then track 100 grams of strawberries. All right, next up, I'm going to do some dark chocolate morsels or chocolate chips. Usually a serving size for chocolate chip is 1 tablespoon, but again, we're going to go with grams on here. So I've got my scale onto grams. 14 grams is going to give me 5 grams of fat, 8 grams of carb, and no protein. So to do chocolate chips, I'm just going to go ahead and pour out. And boom, that is a serving size of chocolate chips, 14 grams. All right, next I'm going to do these egg noodles. I like to use these in my soups. Pasta is usually 2 ounces dry, okay, or 56 grams. So if I'm just going to be cooking 1 serving, I'm going to be doing 56 grams. If I wanted to do 2 servings, then I would do 112 grams. Let's say I'm just making a meal for myself. Put my bowl on here. Again, I'm going to tare it or put it to 0. And then on here, I'm going to measure out 56 grams. And boom, that is going to give me 56 grams of dry pasta. So I would enter this in my tracking app as just one serving size or 56 grams. All right, now I'm going to do peanut butter. The easiest way to do peanut butters, in my opinion, is just to put the whole entire jar on here, tear it. Okay, always make sure it's at 0 here. And then a serving size of peanut butter is 2 tablespoons or 32 grams. Typically, if I'm trying to watch my fat intake, I will do 1 tablespoon, which would be 16 grams. So again, you're gonna put it on your scale, make sure that it's set at 0. And that is just about 1 tablespoon. In order to do 2 tablespoons, boom, that is 2 tablespoons of peanut butter right there. So that is technically 1 serving. All right, guys, so just to recap, number 1, you're going to weigh everything in grams. Grams are more precise than ounces or cups, and they reduce errors in your tracking. So most food labels already list serving sizes in grams anyway, so pay attention to those nutrition labels. Number 2, do not rely on measuring cups. Foods like oats, peanut butter, rice, they can be packaged differently, making volume measurements inaccurate. Weighing ensures you're getting the exact amount. Plus, measuring cups just mean more dishes, and no one has time for extra dishes. Number 3, weighing your food raw versus weighing it cooked. I learned over 10 years ago to just weigh everything before cooking. Meats, you can get away with weighing it cooked, but you need to track it correctly. So meat will lose 25% of its volume. So if you're going to track meat once it's cooked, or weigh it, you need to take in consideration that 25% difference. So if you weigh out 3 ounces cooked, you're gonna have to enter it in your app as 4 ounces. If you weigh out 4 ounces cooked, then in your app, you're going to enter in 5 ounces. As far as other foods such as pasta, rice, oats, and potatoes, I always recommend you weigh them out uncooked or dry. Again, check your nutrition labels because most of the time the info is for dry or uncooked. Number 4, you need to just be consistent no matter what you do. So if you're going to weigh raw or you're going to weigh cooked, you always need to do and be consistent. Like I said, I learned weighing uncooked over a decade ago. It just makes more sense in my brain to me because I weigh it uncooked and then I track it as such too. Number 5, you always want to use your tare or your 0 function. So when you place your plate, bowl, or container on the scale, you're going to press tare every single time to reset that weight to 0 before you add in your food. This is going to prevent unnecessary calculations of the container you're using, and it just makes tracking easier. Number 6, weigh liquids whenever possible. So again, instead of using tablespoons or cups, weigh those liquids like your oils, nut butters, like juices, honey. Always weigh those in grams. Or you can do milliliters, which is actually the same. Number 7, check your food labels for serving sizes in grams. Again, so instead of just trusting the number of pieces, for example, like 15 chips, weigh the exact gram amount listed on the package. So it should say 15 chips equals about 32 grams or whatever. Number 8, pre-weigh and batch cook. So if you're prepping meals ahead, and let's say you have a huge bulk of rice that you want to cook, you're going to take the serving size, which is typically 56 grams for rice. Let's say you're making 8 meals, so you would weigh out 56 times 8 is 448 grams. So that is what you would weigh out on your scale. Once that rice is cooked, it's going to weigh different than versus it was uncooked. So you're going to weigh that again and then divide by the number of servings. Number 9, some foods do not need to be weighed. So single servings or prepackaged meals, they don't need to be weighed. For example, eggs. A large egg is just about the same size and weight. It's not really going to change, so you don't need to weigh it. Egg whites, you will need to weigh those. Bread, slices of bread, they're already portioned, so you do not need to weigh those out. Cheese sticks, if it's like individual packaged cheese sticks, you obviously don't need to weigh those. Yogurt cups, if it's individual yogurt servings, then you don't need to weigh the yogurt. Now, if it comes in a large container and you're portioning it out, that's when you would weigh your yogurt. Protein bars, again, it's just one serving, don't need to weigh them. Packaged snacks, don't need to weigh those. Like if it's a single serving, like 100-calorie pack snack of nuts or like chips or like trail mix or something. If you're going to eat the whole thing, you don't need to weigh it out. Bananas or apples, I suggest you do weigh those. So apples you can get away with, like if you have a huge bag of apples and they're just consistently the same size, and on the nutrition label it says whatever, 150 grams of apple, you don't need to weigh that every time. Bananas differ. There's small bananas, there's big bananas. Weigh those after you peel them. You will get used to what a small, medium, or large banana looks like, but it does vary greatly in carbs. Bottled juices or drinks, again, if it's prepackaged like protein shakes, you obviously don't need to weigh that. Black coffee, don't need to weigh. Low-calorie drinks or zero-calorie drinks, there's literally no reason to waste time on tracking those. As far as vegetables go, you don't have to weigh your baby spring mix or your lettuce or your spinach. You get so much, like 85 grams of spinach is a ridiculous amount of spinach, and it's just, you don't need to weigh that. I do recommend weighing your veggies if you are a beginner though, minus like lettuce besides that, just so you can portion control and you can determine yourself, like you're going to learn so much. So carrots, for instance, I mean, those are carbs. You should weigh those. And then always weigh and track your fruit. Fruit are carbs. They are amazing carbs. Fruit is so good for you. But you can get a lot of volume for little carbs, but not all fruits are created equal. Just like I said earlier about bananas, those are different sizes. Berries are lowest in sugar, so you get a lot for a little of the carbs. But if you like grapes like I do, I love grapes, you're going to be really, really sad when you weigh out 100 grams of grapes and you see the carb count on those. So you definitely need to weigh and track your fruit. To make it easy, I don't know why I've always done this, but my go-to is just to stay consistent with the amount of fruit. So like if I'm weighing out grapes or berries, I'm usually always just going to like automatically weigh out 100 grams and then I will track it as such. A good rule of thumb, if you have to scoop out, pour, or spoon something out of a container, a jar, or a bag, then you should weigh it unless it's 0 calorie, of course. And number 10, that brings me to number 10, 0 calorie or low cal options. You can usually get away without weighing or tracking them. Lots of dressings and marinades are high calorie with either a high carb count, meaning that they have a lot of sugar, or a high fat count, which could really blow your fats out of the water. Something that comes to mind is like regular barbecue sauce. Oh my gosh, it's like 20 grams for 2 tablespoons. So definitely check your nutrition labels. If the calorie count is high, then you're definitely going to need to weigh and track it. You know, those like single serving packets that they give you, like let's say you're getting a salad at like Papa John's or something, like the 1,000 Island. Oh my gosh, it's like 25 grams of fat for that whole entire thing. So you want to opt for lower calorie options. I do have suggestions on things that I've been eating. G. Hughes line is amazing, sugar-free. Bolt House Farms. There's also Primal Kitchen, and other items as well. So I hope this helps you guys. The rest of this video is just kind of an introduction more to the app. And yeah, so if you have any questions, please feel free, let me know. I really hope this helps any beginners with weighing and tracking your food. It will get easier over time, and then your end goal is to be able to just look at food and not really even have to weigh it out. So yeah, hope this helps. Bye.